Okay, here's part B. So after saying all that in regard to homosexuality, and here comes the cat, of course, just in time, just in case you guys have missed him. Off. Of course, on a serious subject, he comes by. Anyway, as far as so after saying all that, yes, the Bible's very clear about homosexuality. It says it's an abomination. Why does it say it's an abomination? Because of the basis of Genesis 3:18, which says to be fruitful and multiply, to Adam and Eve. The rationale is that to do anything of the sort other than the way God created it, male and female, he created them, would be a perversion of purity and holiness. So, for you who believe in following God's law, it is inappropriate for you to lay with another man if you're a man, or another woman if you're a woman, or with your animals. You know, you can love your pets, but don't love your pets. I'm just trying to be a little humorous, but you're getting the general impression. It does not say, it's an abomination, yes. The Bible does say that those people should be taken outside the camp and stoned. I believe that we live in a time where we don't have that power. And don't forget that whatever you do on this earth, you too shall be judged by your actions. So it is better to live in peace and live a holy life and have people see you living that holy life and change their mind instead of you acting as God. Because every time we take on the responsibilities of God, we find ourselves being judged by those same principles. So, that's that in regard to homosexuality. Now, one of my subscribers, as I was doing this video, the series, was asking about Genesis 38, verses 8 through 10, in reference to Onan and Tamar. What happens basically, if you don't remember the story, and of course I will have it over here. Never get used to this. Basically what happened was Tamar's husband died, and under Jewish law, under the Torah, it says that if a man's brother dies and leaves no children, it is the responsibility of the brother to lay with his brother's wife, his widow, and produce offspring for him. And that offspring, if it's a firstborn, say if your brother is the older brother, the firstborn son, he passes away, you're the second brother, well, his children will get the inheritance. Many of the sages, including Judaism, believe that because he spilled his seed is the reason why God killed him, he dropped dead. And then thereby, later on in the story, later in chapter 38 of Genesis, Tamar dresses up as a harlot, as a prostitute, and tricks Judah, who is the obvious successor in that family line, and he lays with her, and there's this back and forth. But anyway, point is, if you look at the body of the text, it has nothing to do with with your seed or your semen being spilt on the ground. It had to do with Onan's intent. He was being selfish, and instead of fulfilling the needs as he is required to by God to protect his family, his brother, he denied his brother offspring, and by denying God's law, he was punished. What does that have to do with anything? Well, there's all these complications with the concept of masturbation. Also, spilling one seed on the ground or whatever is one of the oldest ways of birth control, and was used and is used and continues to be used as one of the most common methods. The purpose, again, of Genesis 3:18 is to be fulfilled with your spouse and to multiply, not the multiplication itself. We're not just creatures, we're creatures with God's soul, a part of God's soul, and a conscience or a consciousness that allows us to be aware beyond our animalistic surroundings. So I take it to be that is the intent of Onan not fulfilling his requirement to take care of his brother's family is the reason. And it bears itself out in the chapter, and you can read it. Finally, which I didn't catch in the first one, I'm sorry, multiple wives. Well, it kind of touches on this Onan and Tamar incident. The Bible does not say that you shouldn't have more than one wife. I know Timothy says that you shouldn't be more than one wife to be an overseer or whatever, but Paul says this. But I'm not encouraging people to become polygamists. What I'm saying is that the Bible doesn't have a problem with it. What it does have a problem with is how you, as a man, I'm speaking to you because being a man of many, having more than one wife, if this ever happens, your requirement is to make sure you set up a household with each one of these people and feed them, care for them, and care for their children, and care for their children's children. And in effect, you have to be really rich, incredibly wealthy, in fact, to have that kind of situation. So that kind of is prohibitive. But that's basically, I wanted to touch on that. Finally, I want to close this series with a parallel between being holy and being married. Marriage and the act of sex and the intimacy between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, is one which is a physical manifestation of the creative power of God. How God created everything from nothing is how we create children from nothing. From our spirit, our love, our passion, our perpetuation of our own lives is a outward explanation, a faint shadow of what God is as a creative power. Also, we've gone through this entire Kosher series, and actually we've covered pretty much all of the mitzvah challenge that I had kind of indicated in my very first video, or second or third video. There's a couple other ones we missed, mehitzas, which are basically laws about property rights and so forth. We can go into that if you'd like. But this is the point I'm trying to make, and this is what I want to get to. The whole point of this series is being holy is like being married. When you're not married, you go out with your friends and you drink beer and you have a good time and whatever. But once you marry, it's an active, you have to make a choice. You have to let your old life go away. And some of that stuff that we thought was fun and it's great to be free no longer exists anymore. A lot of us, specifically friends of mine who are of the evangelical leaning, feel that once they do the Lord's Prayer, it's like saying, I do. Well, I did it. I have the ring, and I'm married. Here's a little piece of paper that says I'm married. And they go on with their old lives. And that is not the purpose of being holy. The purpose of being holy is to get to know that other person that you've engaged with and start obeying their rules. Like I said before, the speaker I was talking about had said, we all obey kosher. It's just that our list for kosher is different than God's. Well, do you want your own list or do you want God's list? Do you want to be part of that relationship? Or do you want something else? There are consequences to your actions. And that's the point of kosher, is to remind us that we're married to God, in a way. We're joined with Him in holiness. And God is not a schizophrenic or a sadist that says, be holy as I am holy, and then turns around and tries to make it so difficult that you can't obey it. You can. It's just a commitment you have to make. So I leave you with that. I may do an economic update tomorrow in place of Ask the Rabbi. I hope this was helpful to you, and I will do others in the following weeks in regard to practical matters in regard to obeying Judaism. All right, folks. Peace.